Welcome to SocTalks.com, where inspiring authors, speakers, and masterminds share their stories with you. Let their stories ignite your passion, accelerate you on your path, and annihilate your limiting beliefs. Now, here's your host for SocTalks.com, Socrates Zayas.
Okay, let's get started. I am absolutely humbled to share with you today on SocTalks, Terrence Gray. Now, he's affectionately referred to as TGray by those impacted by this man's gigantic personality and his ability to succeed. In my opinion, that may be dwarfed by his ability to help others realize their own gigantic abilities. In other words, if you're walking with TGray, you're walking among giants, and you will be a giant too. TGray grew up in New York City's South Bronx with his persistent mother. TGray beat the odds and made it out of the projects. He enjoyed his unique and special blessings, making it to the top of corporate America and network marketing in record time. His reputation, solid. His leadership, lasting. His record, 6 and 7 figures consistently. TGray, are you ready to ignite, accelerate, and annihilate?
Boom, baby! Absolutely, let's do it.
I love it. TGray, do me a favor, man. Fill in the blanks for who is the real TGray.
Man, I tell you what, Sock, I'm sitting here listening to you, give me all those accolades. I'm like, wow, I want to meet this guy. Who is that guy? I'm just a regular guy. I like you said, I grew up in the projects. I grew up in the South Bronx. I'd never been to college. I was academically strong. I was supposed to go to an Ivy League school. I had a partial scholarship. My dad left. I wasn't able to do that. As a matter of fact, my first job, Sock, I started out as a secretary,
Really?
But I'm a hard-working, inquisitive guy. Whatever I get involved in, I'm engaged. I want to know about it. And that's how I ended up being very successful in corporate America. I wouldn't just type documents for the people that I worked for. I would get it done quickly. I'd get it done well. And then I go ask them, Sock. I'd be like, hey, what's this about? Or why is this one different than the last one? And they created opportunities for me to learn about marketing and media on that job. It was an advertising agency. I was able to climb the ladder at that company. I stayed there for 5.5 years. I got promoted 4 times, and then I shifted to sales. I went selling advertising for for a major magazine, and then I got recruited to one of the hottest internet companies during the internet explosion. I was employee number 26. I ultimately became their vice president of business development, all because of curiosity and just a work ethic that I got from my dad and from my mom to always put my best into everything that I do.
Well, you're living proof that the Socratic method does work.
Absolutely. No pun intended, right, Socrates? You would be a fan of the Socratic method.
Absolutely. As you know, SocTalks is all about the guests' stories. Stories are what create rapport, and rapport is why people are moved into action. I'd love if we could jump into a time machine right now, just me and TGray, and go way back to when you first were introduced to multi-level marketing and network marketing. Would it be okay if you shared with us a failure story, a worst moment in your marketing experience?
Okay, that's called my first 10 years in network marketing. How about that, right? So my first 10 years in network marketing overlapped my last 10 years of working in corporate America. And Sock, the funniest thing is the first company I joined, I don't even think I understood that it was network marketing. It was some travel company that doesn't even exist anymore. And I was just excited about, travel benefits. And I think maybe I took a trip or two, but I didn't last long in that company. I didn't know how to build it. I wasn't even trying to build it. I was just kind of googly-eyed. And then I joined some other company that actually turned out to be a company that a lot of major players were also in. But again, I was just too goofy to even realize what I was in. It wasn't until I joined one of the hot telecom companies that I started to really understand this industry. And this particular company that I had joined is really well known for the level of training that they provide. It's when it was in that particular company that I started seeing stories of guys going from delivering packages on a UPS truck to earning tens of thousands of dollars a month and living an incredible life. And I said, wow, this is what's really possible. But I failed through those first 10 years. And here I am on my corporate track. I'm super achiever, right? I'm climbing the corporate ladder. I'm Mr. Success without a college degree. I'm making all this money, but I couldn't succeed in network marketing. And I can tell you exactly why.
Well, that's good. I'm glad you can tell us exactly why, because that's exactly the next question I'm going to ask you. I want to take a minute here and talk about the lesson in that decade that you applied that the listener can walk away with right now to avoid any potholes or having to reinvent the wheel.
All right. So this is one of my biggest lessons that I learned that I try to teach people, Sock. The big reason why I was not successful is that I simply did not respect this industry. I was fascinated by it. I'd go to the meetings and they would draw the circles and I could see it and it would all make sense and I would actually sign up. But then if somebody challenged me on it and said, hey, I can't believe you're doing something like this, I would immediately be like, oh, that's my wife's business, right? She didn't even go to the meeting. She didn't even know what it was. I mean, but I was so embarrassed because I had defined myself by my corporate titles. I was embarrassed by this business. And guess what? Because I was ashamed of it, because I was embarrassed by it, I did not deserve to get paid. That's a big thing. I did not deserve to get paid. So, and it all changed when I finally realized that and I changed my outlook.
We're very similar in that perspective as well. It wasn't until 5 years ago that I came out of the shell with that as well. When I started in network marketing, I did the exact same thing. But you're right. That's a great take home for the listener who's listening right now, is that you have to embrace it, right?
Yep.
You have to be comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yep.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Okay, now just like we did with the worst moment, tell us about that one aha moment, that one good boom that resonates with SocTalk listeners. Tell us that story.
I made all this money in corporate America, right? And then I packaged myself out. I decided I wanted to be an entrepreneur. And at the same time that I made that decision, I was going through a divorce. I ended up spending the 2 most miserable years of my life. I was so depressed, Sock. I was not even anything close to this hyperachiever that you've come to know. I was just at the bottom, right? I actually burned through all the money that I had. And I woke up one day and I was broke again. I mean, I was literally down to my last $10,000. I was about to be evicted. BMW was looking for my car. I'm like, oh my God, how did this happen? Because, for 2 years, I was just kind of checked out, right? And so I had to do something to get myself back together because, I'm one of those guys, when faced with fight or flight, I'm going to fight, okay? I'm not going to run, I'm going to fight. But I had to choose how I was going to fight this scenario. And, obviously choice one is, okay, I could go get another job. But I'm like, man, the internet bubble is burst. They're not paying people the kind of money that I was, accustomed to making. And besides, I don't want to sell my soul for another 5 years. Let me think about this network marketing thing. I said, so I really stepped back, Sock, and I started thinking about, I became self-aware. And this is really important. It's a common trait among highly successful people. They are very, very self-aware. And what I did is I was able to now step outside and look at myself and say, why didn't I make it in network marketing these last 10 years? And that's when I came to the conclusion, the realization that, okay, I didn't deserve to, because if I'm ashamed of the business, it can't pay me. I said, so here's what I'm going to do. What I'm going to do this time is I'm going to take it as seriously and treat it as seriously as I treated anything else. Because when I packaged out of that top internet company, they published how much money, how much revenue I had driven to the company, and the number was ungodly. I was like, wow, I did that? What if I was willing to work for myself the way I work for them? And so I decided that I was going to put that kind of energy, that I would take the business seriously, and that if anybody asked me what I was doing, I'd say, I am in network marketing, and I'd be proud and put my chest out. And so that was the first realization. But it came in tandem with one other thing. I tied into a mentor who was successful, who was having success. Because I learned, if you want what successful people have, you got to do what successful people do. So even though I had been introduced to a particular company by a friend of mine, I found someone up the chain, and I didn't change sponsors or anything. My friend was still my sponsor. But I said to that guy up at the top, who was the number 4 money earner in the company, I said, I'm only going to join if you will work with me personally for 30 days. That's all I need. I just need to study you. And Sock, I studied him. And after 30 days, I just modeled my behavior after what he did within 2 years. I was one of those people making multiple 5 figures a month.
Wow. So, okay, let's break this down. We have a listener that right now is captivated by what you just said. We want to ignite their passion. We want to accelerate them on a path, and we want to annihilate a fear. Break that down for me. Give me some steps that's actionable for them right now.
First step, become self-aware. All right. So just take a look at what you're doing now, what you've been doing. Right. Most of your listeners, Sock, have probably been doing something for 5, 10, maybe even as long as 30 years or more. And I want you to take a look, listener, I want you to just think about for a second what you've been doing and ask yourself, how much energy have you put into that? We had some people over to look at our opportunity tonight. I asked those people, I said, how long have you been working? They put, people 5 to 30 years. I said, how many of you have gone to work when you didn't feel like it? How many of you gone when you were sick? How many of you have missed your kids' events because you had to work? How many of you had to put up with some indignities at your job, like being passed over for a promotion or being spoken to in a rude fashion or whatever? How many of you have had to fight through rush hour traffic? So all those things are bad, yet you go every day. The first thing I want to share with the listeners is that the number one reason people fail in network marketing is because as soon as it starts to get hard, Sock, they quit. Mm-hmm. But when you quit, you go back to that thing that you suffered all these challenges, and it still hasn't gotten you where you want to go. And if you do it another 5 to 30 years, it's not going to get you where you want to go. Number one, you've got to be willing to go through the journey. You got to be willing to put your 3 to 5 years in before you can even thinking about quitting. That's the first thing that I would encourage a person to do. And that's how I call that getting your mind right. Because if you don't get your mind right, you're not going to finish. The second thing that I would encourage you to do, listener, is follow the system. There's going to be somebody in the company, in your upline, who has been doing this longer than you, who is making money, who has figured out how it works. And I've seen person after person, Sock, come in, and because of their intuition, because of their experience, because of their education, you pick one, they smile and nod when you teach them the system, but then they don't do it. They don't actually follow it. So I want to challenge the folks to follow the system. It kind of reminds me of the first Star Wars movie. You remember that, Sock, when Luke Skywalker is trying to blow up the Death Star?
Of course.
Right? And so he's flying, and he's got all these fancy gadgets coming down over his eyes and off of his helmet and all this kind of stuff. And he's trying to line up the shot, and he misses using all this fancy equipment. And then the spirit of Obi-Wan Kenobi appears to him in his cockpit and says, what? Use the Force. Luke,
use the Force.
Use the Force, Luke. Right? So he takes off all that fancy stuff, and he just uses the Force, and he blows the thing up. He hits it dead on, right? And it's kind of like people, when they let all their education and, I've been in marketing, or, I think you should do it this way. That's kind of like all the stuff that was over Luke Skywalker's eyes. And here we are as leaders telling these guys, just forget all that and just follow the system.
Amazing. I'm glad that you shared that with us. Okay, right now we're going into the fun part of the interview. We call it SocTalks Showdown. But before we do that, ladies and gentlemen, TGray can be found on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter at TGrayWins. He has a personal website, www.terrencedgray.com. That's TERRENCED as in Delta, Gray as in Gray's Anatomy.com.
Hey, we got to let everybody know that's Gray, right? So I just got to let them know Mr. Gray will see you now.
Okay, so we're into SocTalks Showdown. All right, now, question number 1. Best advice you ever received?
Best advice I ever received. Okay, well, we already gave one of them, which was follow the system. But you know what? I want to talk to the masses of people who are struggling financially because, at that point, remember I told you I was busted, man. I'd lost my money. The world was closing in on me. The lights were getting turned out. I didn't know where the food was going to come from. I'm trying to take care of my family, and then it was just really bad. I'm literally crying on my millionaire mentor sofa, Sock. I'm just broke down. I'm a man of responsibility, and I'm trying to take care of my peeps, and it's not working. And here's the best advice he gave me. He said, I want you to think of all of your liabilities, your debts and the collections and all that stuff. I want you to think of that as if you are in a race and you're in the starter's block. And you're in the starter's block, and to the right of you in the next lane are all of your liabilities. And here's what I want you to do. Not outrun your liabilities, but I want you to out-earn your liabilities. He said, because all the things that are bothering you right now, if you were making 20 grand a month, it wouldn't bother you, would it? He said, no. He says, well, let's hurry up and get you to 20 grand a month.
I love that.
That's the boom.
Yes, boom.
Dude, it was the boom. Now, I got to be honest with you. I'm a human being. At first, I was mad at him because he didn't give me money. Right. But I got over it and I went to work, and every day it was like, dude, it was like somebody lit a fire under my tail. I worked. I mean, I could show you my old calendars. I would do like 50 or 60 presentations in a month because I had that image in my mind that I was running a race and I had to out earn my liabilities. And you know what? I did.
Question number 2. This is an easy one. First 80 minutes of your day, what do you do?
First 80 minutes of my day. I have learned to protect the first 80 minutes of my day. The first thing about my first 80 minutes of my day is I don't talk to anyone. I don't talk to anybody. I get up. That's when I work out. I go to the gym. In my headphones is 90% of the time, it's something motivational. I'm either listening to an audiobook, I'm either watching my favorite mentors on YouTube, because I mean, YouTube is like, it's crazy. It's a new TV. It's like, it's success TV if you want it to be. All you have to do is subscribe to all of the great people. And when you wake up in the morning in what to watch, it will have a list literally of their latest posts. So you can watch these podcasts and videocasts and audiobooks and whatever, motivational videos. So I'll watch that. You know, if my workout requires it, I'll listen to some high energy music. But the key thing is I'm in my own head at that time. And if my phone rings, I will not answer it during the first 80 minutes of the day. The only people I'll talk to is my family, of course, if there's some sort of an emergency. But, you know, these days they like to sleep late because nobody's got a job around here. So I'm using that word intentionally, Sock. I protect the first 80 minutes of my day because that's when I get myself focused.
That is a word from Yoda. I'm going to steal the Star Wars. Protect 80 minutes, will you?
80 minutes, protect it you shall.
Okay, your biggest strength.
My biggest strength is being able to break concepts down into bite sizes and make them simple so that people can understand them. You know, what I've learned is that there are 3 reasons, Sock, why people who are able to do what they should do don't do what they should do. Reason number 1 is they don't know what to do. Reason number 2 is they don't know how to do it. Reason number 3 is they simply don't want to. And I am of the belief that people who pay their hard-earned money to get started in a business want to. So if they're not succeeding, it comes down to reason number 1 and number 2. They don't know what to do and they don't know how to do it. And the people who make the most money in this industry are the ones who become very, very good at showing people exactly what to do and showing them how to do it.
How about the converse, your weakness, your greatest weakness?
My greatest weakness? I'll tell you what my greatest weakness has been. My greatest weakness has been that I expect everybody to be like me. And I've had mentors trying to help me with this. And actually, now that I'm kind of getting older and getting a little couple of gray hairs, I'm calming down a little bit. But, you know, I expect everybody to be as hungry as I am, as driven as I am, as disciplined as I am, as responsive as I am, as good of a communicator as I am. And you know what? People aren't. And so what I'm having to learn is to accept people where they are and to meet them where they are and to help them to, you know, to get where they need to be.
And the last one, this is the one that we pride ourselves here at SocTalks. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
So you wake up in an alternate universe. Everything that you had is gone. You have clothes on, but they're not familiar to you. You look in your back pocket, you have a wallet, you open it up, there's $500 cash. You look in your front pocket, you have a smartphone. It's almost like a laptop. It's got everything on it that's modern, but there's no names in it. There's no last calls on it. No contacts at all. What do you do?
Well, first of all, I got a question for you. I'm not wearing a dress, am I?
No.
All right, good. Then we can work with this. Woo! I am being silly. Please, nobody be offended. Okay. So here's what I do. I love this question. I love this question. So the first thing that I do is, oh, by the way, am I already signed up in a company?
No, you don't know anything. You wake up, the company you had is gone. Everything that you had is gone.
But I've got 500 bucks.
Yeah, you got 500 bucks.
Okay.
And a cell phone. That's like a laptop.
And a cell phone. Cool, no problem. Number one, I'm gonna find a good company and I'm gonna sign up. Right? I'm gonna find a company that's hot, that's got momentum, that has products and services that absolutely everybody can understand. They don't need to, their brain doesn't have to hurt, and it has a compensation plan that is really aggressive and fair at the same time. Then I don't know anybody, so I've got to build a team. But this is not going to be hard because I'm just going to go out every day and I'm going to meet people. And I have this concept that I teach people called make a friend, get a phone number. One of the reasons it's so hard, Sock, for people to go out and meet people is because they feel like they have to go recruit people. We didn't say recruit people, we just said meet people, right? So I'm going to go out and I'm going to start conversations with people. I'm going to meet them. I'm going to create an exchange. Hey, here's my number, what's yours? And then I'm going to follow up with those folks and say, hey, you know what? I'm expanding this business in this area. It would be great if you would take a look at it, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And I'm going to create my contact list. Now, watch this. You ready for this, Sock?
Mm-hmm.
I've got nothing. I got 500 bucks. So guess what I have? I have an incredible sense of urgency. So I'm going to meet. I'm going to get up early. I'm going to be out the door by 8, 9 o'clock. I'm not coming back till 8, 9 o'clock at night. I'm going to meet 20 people a day, which means I'm going to prospect 20 people a day. And just think about what happens. How many people do I prospect if I do that for 20 out of a 30-day month?
Oh my gosh. You're talking about 400?
That's 400 people. If I put 400 people through the process, guess what? I am going to, even if I'm terrible, I'm going to enroll 20 people minimally, right? Probably more like 50. And now I'm going to work their warm market because I didn't have anybody in my phone, but they have people in their phones because everybody who joins my team is not one person, Sock. Each person that joins your business represents access to the 100 to 200 people that they know that you didn't have access to before.
Exactly. Could explain that? Explain the make a friend, meet their friends.
You woke up in the same alternate universe that I did, and we don't know each other. But you're living a normal life. You've got a job, right? Maybe you've got a sales job. Maybe let's say you're in pharmaceutical sales. Okay. I'm the guy who's still in that scenario that you painted. I got the 500 bucks and a smartphone and I'm wearing a dress or whatever you said, right? So I meet you in Starbucks, let's say. You're in Starbucks, you're trying to buy coffee to go see some of your doctors, but you're wearing a sharp suit because guess what? Pharmaceutical sales reps dress nice. So I meet you there and I say, hey, excuse me for invading your space, but dude, you're really sharp. That's a great suit. What do you do that you get to wear such good suits? And you're like, well, I'm in pharmaceutical sales. Oh, really? How long have you been in pharmaceutical sales? And you're like, okay, well, 5 years. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. What kind of drugs do you represent? And you're like, okay, I represent, dermatology drugs. Oh, cool, awesome. And now, and by the way, when you ask people what they do, they always ask you what you do. So you ask me, you say, what do you do? And I say, well, I'm in marketing. But tell me a little bit more about how you got into pharmaceutical sales, because I don't want to talk about me right then. I'm not taking the bait. I'm not going to jump into, oh, I'm in network marketing and I'm in company XYZ and we've got this and we've got that and you should take a look at it because you'd be good at it because you're in pharmaceutical sales. Guess what? You're never going to talk to me again, right? And you don't really care because your favorite topic is talking about you. So even though you ask me, what do? I know you don't really care because you're just being polite. So I just say, hey, I'm in marketing. And I turn it back to you with a question. I'm in marketing. How did you decide to be in pharmaceutical sales? How's it going? I heard pharmaceutical sales reps make a fortune. Are you killing it? I'm doing okay. By the way, anytime you compliment someone's profession, they will put it down themselves. So you're like, oh, okay. I said, well, I tell you what, I know you're trying to get to your next appointment. I just had to compliment you, brother. Hey, listen, I'm new in the area. And I just really like to make sure that I stay in contact with positive and professional people. So why don't we exchange information? All right, here's my phone number. What's yours? Because people like to reciprocate. I don't ask you for your phone number. I offer mine first, and then I ask you for yours because you like to give back. So you give me your business card. Your business card has your office phone number on it. It doesn't have your cell phone number on it. So I say, hey, well, I tell you what. Oh, is this your office number? You say, yeah. I say, well, I'll tell you what. If I wanted to contact you outside of your home and outside of your work, what would be the best number? You go, oh, my cell phone number. Here it is. So now I got your cell phone number without asking you for it directly. And I say, great. Well, I tell you what, guy, let's stay in touch. Knock them dead this afternoon. and I let you go. This conversation took 5 minutes less. Now, I made a friend and I got your phone number. See how that works?
Absolutely.
Now, what do I do next? I call you that afternoon, or I call you the next day at the latest, because within 24 hours, you forgot me. So when I call you up, it kind of goes like this. It goes, hey, Socrates, this is TGray. We met in Starbucks. Remember, I'm the guy who complimented you on your suit. Yeah, TGray. Good to meet you. It was great meeting you. It was great meeting you too. Hey, listen, man, I'm so sorry. I forgot to mention something to you while we were talking in Starbucks. Really, what's that? Well, I'm working with a group of positive and professional people. We are expanding a hot company into this marketplace, and it represents a serious money opportunity for professional people who still have room in their bank accounts for some more money. You fit that description? Well, yeah, man, I've always got room for more money. Okay, great. Well, I tell you what, I'm not sure if this is for you or not, but there's only one way to find out. You got to take a look at it. All right. If it makes sense for you, fantastic. If not, you can point me in the direction of some people that it might make sense for. Well, sure, cool. Well, what time can we meet back at that Starbucks? Or I've got a conference call going on tonight. Maybe you can jump on and listen. Or I've got a webinar coming on, tonight. Maybe you can get on and listen. Or I've got some videos I could send you. If I send you these videos, would you watch them? Whatever. But first, I made a friend and got a phone number. And then, based on the rapport that we developed, now I call to prospect you. 2 separate occasions.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Ladies and gentlemen, Terrence D. Gray.
Thank you for listening to Socrates Zayas on SocTalks. Please visit us at SocTalks.com for a chance to win a $50 gift card. And don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review this podcast. Give us a great review, and Socrates will give you a personal shout out on the very next show. Boom.